also get in Professor Singh. He's a fellow of the Canada Global Affairs Institute and a former visiting professor and scholar of the University of British Columbia. Professor Singh, always good to have you on the show. How do you see the present developments, the political uncertainty that Justin Trudeau is facing?
I think, Gauri, it's a story almost now going to be 2 years since continuously one after another challenge to Justin Trudeau's leadership. What is interesting is increasingly the challenge has now come from within his Liberal Party. And now the Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister, who has her own very strong reputation, has herself resigned, questioned his leadership. Jagmeet Singh, the new Democratic Party, which was also a supporter of coalition government of Justin Trudeau, is also asking for his resignation. I think situation is becoming increasingly untenable for him to continue. And in that sense, I think it is going to be perhaps time that he has to think of leaving. Canada in general has been facing enormous problems of inflation, of fiscal deficit, and budget has been a major problem. From the targeted 60 billion, 40 billion, now it is reached already 60 billion. Health crisis of healthcare, housing crisis, inflation, price rise, and so on. And on top of it, now President Donald Trump threatening to have another tariff war with Justin Trudeau. In that sense, I think this resignation of Vice Prime Minister, particularly questioning his whole audacity to sustain his leadership by GST holidays, sales tax holidays, and so on, when he needs to really control fiscal deficit, is something that I think is becoming increasingly untenable, questioning his leadership. And I think this is time for him that I think increasingly not only media and opposition or several other civil society people, but his own party is now asking. I understand that already 8 members of parliament have publicly spoken asking for his resignation from within his own
party.
But
still he stays.
Remember, on
still
October
he continues.
28 was earlier a secret
Still he
letter asking him to
continues.
resign.
And my question is, Professor Singh, how long do you think Justin Trudeau would be able to stand against this rising tide of public opinion against him, whether it is the MPs or whether it's the public? How long can he withstand it?
I think there is also some sense of dignity and decorum that I want to invoke here for any political leader whose popularity ratings are going down rapidly. But even otherwise, I mean, he's been 8 years in office. From 40% votes that elected his party in 2015 to coming to 33% in his snap elections of 2019, then again 2021 to 32%. So gradually Liberal Party itself has been losing the public support over years. And of course, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, as I'm saying, is becoming increasingly not only unpopular, unacceptable to his own ministers, to his own senior leaders, to his own party members, to his coalition partners, and so on. So I think here the question is more of decorum and dignity that should, ask him to take the call now, rather than persist with all kinds of, Deputy Prime Minister spoken about his political gimmicks, which are obviously proving costly. So in that sense, I think dignity and decorum is something that he needs to look at now, as this is time for him to go then, perhaps.
Mitali, you want to come in there? Around the corner. And the easiest way to go about winning elections is by doling out freebies. Something that an economy cannot afford, Professor Singh, at a time when there are Trump tariffs pretty much now, about 5 weeks away, 6 weeks away tops. So in that situation, how do you see the Justin Trudeau government surviving going forward, given the fact that, there are tough times ahead?
Indeed, Gauri, you rightly put it. It's not just the political challenge or political crisis that we have to look at. It's also the economic challenge and economic crisis that one has to look at. Christia Freeland has been a very senior minister. She was trade minister, she was foreign minister, she was now finance minister. She had negotiated trade deals with the United States over years. And in that sense, if in her judgment, this is something which absolutely needs to be handled with enormous care, and populism should not be guiding the policy in terms of economic decision making to deal with the fiscal deficit, which is enormous now. is something that is also making it very clear that the clear advantage will therefore go to the opposition if there are snap elections again. I think the mood of the nation is very clearly, with the anxiety about the price rise and housing and
Exactly.
healthcare becoming difficult. So it's as much an economic challenge which Canada is really facing. And in that context,
Yes,
coming off President Donald Trump and talking about 20% rise, 25%
exactly.
rise, when you have 75% of exports of Canada
Ex-
are only aimed at United States. So I think it's an economic challenge as well.
Indeed, there are economic challenges, there are political uncertainties, and most importantly, you have a prime minister whose authority and capital may have been eroded. Thank you so much, both of you, for taking out the time and speaking to me on India Global.